listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. This week, a multi-day event explores the idea of building community through musical collaboration. Drawing musicians from around the world, Dream Big Collaborative Piano Conference runs from Thursday, February 22nd through Saturday, February 24th at the University of Manitoba and the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. To hear more, I'm joined virtually by Dr. Laura Loewen, one of the organizers. Welcome back to Classic 107, Laura.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
And it's wonderful to have you. So you're a co-founder of Dream Big, the first event held back in February 2020. Can you tell us a little bit about the initiative?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a collaborative pianist. I've played piano since I was 3 years old. And ever since I was little, all I wanted to do was make music with other people. And so I work a lot with singers, but also with instrumentalists. And we used to be called accompanists. Now we're often called collaborative pianists. I mean, we really just play piano, but our specialty really is playing with other people. And there had never been a Canadian conference for collaborative pianists before. When we go to conferences, we're often like performing with other people. And so we kind of just are off on the side. And my colleague, Judy Kaler-Siebert, and we run the collaborative piano program together. We're like, well, we think Winnipeg is the perfect place to hold a collaborative piano conference. So we did it in February 2020. And we were inspired by the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. And all of the music that was performed there was music that was written in response to trauma or as a call to action. And it was a really extraordinary 3 days, I think, because people were playing music that they had chosen because it meant a lot to them. And sometimes it was about personal experiences that they had had. There was a real intimacy. There was just this incredible experience. And then about 2 weeks later, the entire world shut down. And all of a sudden, all of the things that we'd been talking about, a little bit more in abstract about situations that were beyond our lives, were suddenly very, very real to us. And so this is the first time we've been able to get back together again after that. And we're just thrilled to be able to bring this community together to see what's happened to everyone in the last 4 years and to keep moving forward.
So how many participants are you expecting at this year's conference?
We think there'll probably be about 70 people attending the conference full time. It's a pretty intimate conference. It's really important to us that we do everything together. So the whole group attends all the events. Judy and I believe very strongly that eating meals together is important. And so mealtime is a big part of the conference.
I find it so fascinating that you, as a collaborative pianist, really didn't have the opportunity to collaborate with the fellow collaborators. Do you know what I'm getting at here? Like, it seems like this is an initiative that it should have happened a long time ago. So can you talk more about that? Why was it important to bring collaborative pianists and the broader community together in an event such as this one?
Yeah, it's kind of an irony because, I mean, our art is making music with other people, but often, I mean, in Winnipeg, there's so many people that are just doing extraordinary collaboration, but often there's a lot fewer of us than there are of solo, pianists or other musicians. And so although, there is a bit of isolation with all of us just in general. And then of course, during COVID, we spent all our time like making Zoom sessions for people and making piano tracks. And the very essence of our art, which is about being in a room with another person, was taken away. And it was a miracle really that we were able to keep making music in whatever form, but it was very isolated. And so being able to come together again to support each other, but more importantly, to make music in the same room is just so incredible. And there's going to be a lot of music that none of us have heard before. So it's going to be a time of real discovery.
Yeah, a time of real discovery, making those connections, building that network. And it's going to be a very busy few days as there are a great number of events, masterclasses, keynotes between the two locations, the University of Manitoba and the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Can you tell us about some of the special guests and panelists who are going to be participating this year?
Well, we put out a call to our community and we were really overwhelmed with the extraordinary response from people. There's a lot of people from Canada and the States coming. There's a cellist from Brazil and a singer from the UK. So we're really representing a large swath of the world. I was really fortunate. I did my doctorate in collaborative piano at the University of Minnesota with the extraordinary artist teacher, Margot Garrett. And Judy studied at Eastman with the extraordinary artist teacher, Jean Barr. And they've been really important people in our lives. When we were studying with them, obviously, they were just incredible mentors, but they've continued to be supports as we've moved into more of a colleague relationship. And just as in the first Dream Big, they're coming together to be the special musical guests. So they I mean, I feel like they mentor all of us, they inspire all of us, but especially for six groups of emerging artists who are going to do master classes with them. And so it's like pianists and singers or pianists and instrumentalists that will have two sessions each on one on Thursday and one on Friday to work with Margot and Jean as they just explore, the music that they've chosen together. And then the whole conference ends with a performance by those masterclass duos.
Can you
On
tell us?
Friday,
Well,
no,
yeah.
I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no. I was just curious. I mean, can we talk more about those participants, those emerging artist ensembles? Because
Hmm.
I understand it was a sort of audition position. There's six of them, as you were saying, and I know
Hmm.
that they're going to have a grand concert, kind of concluding on Saturday evening. But can you tell us more about those groups and what they'll be up to?
Absolutely. So Winnipeg is well represented. There's some current students at the Days of 12 faculty, both singers and pianists that are participating. There's some recent graduates of ours. There's one of our new master's students who has a longtime family friend that she used to perform with all the time in Ontario. And that pianist is coming to Winnipeg. So they're reuniting to be part of this. And then we have a cello piano group from University of Toronto and then a voice piano group, actually two sisters that are coming from the Juilliard School. And so they're going to be, I think, really, really inspired by all the sessions, but especially by the master classes. And they're doing a lot of repertoire that I don't know. And so it's also going to be a discovery for a lot of people.
Well, very exciting indeed. Speaking of discovery, the Dream Big conference makes their way to the CMHR. You'll be spotlighting the tangible and artistic impacts that music can have on social justice and social change. Can you tell us more about that relationship and about being in the CMHR?
Yeah, it's just so exciting. As I said, for our first conference, we were inspired by the CMHR to explore this theme, and we did a 3-hour tour of the CMHR on Friday morning, and it was hosted, and we got a bit more in depth looking at some of the exhibits, and it was a real highlight for everybody. I mean, people still talk about it. So then when we decided we wanted to do another Dream Big, we just talked to them and said we would love to do an event there. We would love to continue to develop this relationship. And they were fantastic and are very excited about it. So we're holding the entire second day at the CMHR, starting off with our keynote speakers who are the great Sheila Rogers and Dr. Jillian Horton, who's a fantastic musician as well as doctor. She and I actually studied with the same teacher in our bachelor degrees
Hmm.
at the Brandon University. Um, anyway, so we're starting off with that, and they're going to talk about storytelling and memory and healing. We're having some more master classes, and then a panel discussion where we want to look at what are the issues that we face when we are performing this music that was written in response to trauma or as a call to action. I Everybody that I know is hungry to play music, not just because we think it's beautiful and we want to perform it, but because it speaks deeply to who we are, who we are striving to be, and the issues in our society now. And I think that it requires different preparation. It requires a different way of thinking than certainly I was trained to do. And I think that these are questions that everybody is really hungry to answer. So we're holding a panel discussion with two of the curators from the Human Rights Museum and four musicians from Dream Big that approach these issues from different perspectives. So that's from 3:15 to 4:15. I think it's going to be a really exciting and robust conversation. And then in the evening is our big multimedia event, which is free. So we have 5 grand pianos that have been donated to us through St. John's Music and the Days of Tell Faculty of Music. I think they're being delivered there as we speak. And we've situated those pianos throughout the museum, and there's going to be about between 35 and 40 performances of music that was inspired by the exhibits that those pianos are near. So there's going to be a short introduction about the gallery from the curator, a very short description of the piece by the musicians, and then a performance of like 5 to 6 minutes. And then the audience can come at any time. It's going from 6 to 9, and kind of just create your own map. So you can just see the performances that you want to see. There's no real figured out route. And many of the performances actually are being performed twice, so that if you miss a piece that you really want to see at one point, you can see it at another point.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, some like 35, 40 musicians all coming together to perform. And that idea of sort of like a self-guided concert as you move throughout the CMHR, which is just such an incredible space. I mean, you keep using the word discovery, and this just sounds like another opportunity for the broader community to get involved and to hear that idea of collaboration, and then also to see tangibly how music can be a part of social and social change and social justice. And I mean, what a better place to do it in. It sounds like it is going to be just a fascinating evening. And again, this is one that's free to the public, right?
It is free to the public, yeah.
So the big question here, before I let you go, Laura, is where should people go if they need to register or if they'd like to learn more about Dream Big?
Well, if you go to our website, it's dreambigcollaborative.com. You can find the full schedule. You can find a link to all of the performer bios. So you can really see the rich diversity of people that are performing here and of repertoire. And you can register, and we have registration for the full conference. We have it for individual events. The thing on Friday is free, but you can also sign up and just reserve a ticket on our website.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to tell us a little bit
Thanks,
about
Simon.
Dream Big. Good seeing you, Laura.
You too.